Hair like this. Oof.
Okay, awesome. Just want to encourage everyone. This is, going to be kind of a very casual type of thing, and we want to get to know each other. So I want to encourage everyone to drop their name and their region, their network, where they are, but we want to be able to connect with each other. But at any rate, my name is Lorianne Minoff. I am the Strategic Partner Chair for 2025 for the state of Florida, and we are so grateful to have you all here. Wanted to introduce not only our state president, Natalie Derrick, and then we have our president-elect, Denise Bibo. And I don't think there's anyone else from the state line on here. No, not that I can see. But again, wanted to introduce I guess we can call you a bartender today, Heather, right? Uh, kind
Yeah,
of,
that's true. Serving
right.
it up.
Want to be able to provide value to our strategic partners because this partnership is a two-direction type of relationship, and we really do appreciate all that Pillar to Post does for our state network. But without further ado, before I introduce Heather, just want to kind of go over some Zoom rules. Again, we are very casual, things like that, but we want to still engage in some level of Zoom etiquette. So if you can kind of keep yourselves on mute, we encourage you to drop questions in the chat. And then after Heather kind of goes through her bit of presentation, we'll have plenty of time for Q&A. But at this rate, I'm going to introduce Heather Hurry, is a marketing specialist for Pillar to Post Home Inspectors, the Jeff Mackey team. Thank you so much for being here today, Heather, and we would love to get to know you better.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Lorianne, Denise, Natalie, and for all of those joining across the state of Florida. It's always I get excited when I do this because I think to myself, just a little background. So I've been with Pillar to Post, the Jeff Mackey team here in Central Florida for a little over 5 years. But the company itself has been around way longer than that. Over 50, I think it is now, with over 500 franchise locations that service the entire country, including Toronto and Canada. We were just talking about Canada. I guess I have to twist somebody's arm. We need some presence in Canada in May. And 36 franchise locations here in Central Florida. So, Mr. Mackey and the team and Pillar to Post across, not only at the hyper local level, which we are here in Orlando, but also at the state level, we support as Pillar to Post home inspectors, and we support WCR National. So as you all know, we're very involved in supporting you, ladies and gentlemen, and want to always be able to carry over value because that is what it's about, and communication and relationship. If any of you know me, you know I'm probably, at least I think I am the most transparent person in the room. Very authentic. What you see is what you get. And this is why I love to do things like this. So we can kind of let our hair down, even though my hair's up. Da-dum-dum. And we can just kind of be ourselves and ask some questions and interact. Little sidebar, funny note about me. And if it goes past here, I'm blaming all of you on the call, just letting you know. My first job when I came to Florida was at Disney. I was a dancer / character. It's not fitting, is it? It's not. No, I'm just kidding. So I just thought I'd throw a fun fact out there. So as we're on the call today, if anybody wants to throw out a fun fact, mine's probably more hysterical than yours, but still, yeah, it's always fun. So a little bit about us. I just wanted to share this. We are across the state launching tons of new technology platforms and all kinds of wonderful, wonderful things to support not only the network, but realtors overall. Inspections is one of those things, and I say this again, transparently. It's the good, bad, and ugly, right? It seals or kills the deal. It's the language. It's the red flags. It's what else can you tell me? It's perception over reality. Is there a pass or fail, which there isn't, by the way. And then, so there's all this good information out there, but it doesn't mean it's accurate information out there, if you know what I mean. So that's kind of what I wanted to open the floor about tonight and just have fun. For those of you that have a drink in hand, please hold it up. Hold up, because we need to cheers before we get started. Cheers. Mine's on the side I have water. Just so you know. So cheers. Enjoy your drinks as we go along. Yeah, and it's
I
great to
like
see
I
everyone.
like Gladys's drink. Mine's
But
water.
yeah, she's got a sparkly, cute little, okay. Yeah, I kind of wanted to see the cups and containers too, because typically I feel like that tells me something about the person. Jim had a cool cup. Where's your cup, Jim? It was like, oh, well, it's behind though. We can kind of, oh, okay. He's got it. Okay. You've got something interesting in there. I don't know what it is, but that's good. So without continuing to ramble, I'm open for questions. You know, this is all about, hey, what is there within your dialogue that you want to ask? It doesn't matter, pillar to post home inspector, inspection related questions. If for some reason you've used someone else, so be it. I just want to kind of lay it out there and be open for, hey, fire away comments. And also, just out of curiosity, any testimonials or good things that you may have to say about utilizing one of our franchises across the state. Enough out of me. Go ahead, Roy. You're on mute though.
Yep.
There you go.
So I will give you a testimonial. Every time I recommend home inspectors, I always recommend Mike Williams and Tiffany. We love
They're
Tiffany. We love the
wonderful.
Tennessee accent and the whole thing going on there.
Yeah.
And also the fact that she always promotes, for disabled child, because the story with their daughter and
It's
stuff.
Micah. Yes, sir.
So I like that. So it brings in some community, but they do an excellent job. Mike actually, besides owning the company, does a lot of the inspections for me, but they have great inspectors and very strong women's council members in our area. So
Yeah.
I promote them.
Thank you for that, Rory. Yeah, I'm maybe within the time frame that we're chatting, you might see some folks jump on. I know Tiffany and Mike said they might jump on, and maybe even Mike McClendon from a different area, or Travis Logue from out in Tampa. So you may see some more familiar faces pop on as we go along, but I appreciate that. And I absolutely love them. Tiffany cracks me up. I thought my accent was bad because I'm pretty country, but hers is even more beautiful in her country twang. Yeah, so that's
We also
great.
have Andrea from the Naples Pillar to Post.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
so
That's right. Hey, Andrea. How you doing? She's on the call. South Florida's representing in the house, so that's wonderful. I'm glad that she's here. If you have a second, you can unmute yourself and say hello, Miss Rojas. If you're
Hello, good
available.
afternoon. I am here. I'm listening, but I am doing my nails. So I have my AirPod and
Good
I'm
for
listening
you.
and watching you. Hello
With
to
the drink
everyone.
because
I
it's
hope you
happy
guys.
hour, no less. So, just saying.
No, definitely. Love to see you there and love what I'm hearing. So definitely
So
Pillar to Post is here representing.
tell us the area that you represent. And if you get a chance, Andrea, can you put that in the chat as well? What area? And you're relatively new, but just tell us what area and how long you've been connected with us.
Awesome. I'll go ahead and put that in the chat.
Perfect. Perfect. So South Florida is covered, and obviously, the whole state, we're extremely interactive in the whole state, but more questions, ladies and gentlemen, just throw something at me. Let's have fun with it. I mean, what are some of your not so good experiences and some things that you would like better, or, comment or questions? Go ahead, Gladys.
Yes, good afternoon and hello everyone.
Good to
I
see
noticed
you.
recently how much new construction. I notice now there's more and more buyers interested in new construction. I've used you guys for resales, but how do you feel? Because not everybody, I think, do the new construction. So how is everything with your company?
Yeah, so, and that's kind of a good segue in. So before I answer the question, I'll just add to, because we're all individually owned franchise locations, some will have services, a plethora of services like Mr. Mackey here at, Pillar to Post here in Orlando, but he's also been around for 24 years and he's got 7 inspectors, right? So it's a little different, plus admin staff, etc. So there's some additional services that he may offer versus, let's say, a 1 or 2 man operation or a 3 to 4 man or woman operation with Pillar to Post. So always check their website and Google their services to ensure that they're offering what you're in need of. And it may not even be on the, you may just have to call the office and ask as well. Some of that's being constantly updated. So that's a great question because, like, for us at Pillar to Post, the Jeff Mackey team here in Orlando, we offer 4 phases of new home construction. And by the way, if you're not doing that or offering that or educating your client about this, or at least giving them the option of 1, 2, 3, or all 4 of these, you may be doing a disservice to them. And I'm just saying that based on experience. Number 1 is a pre-slab inspection. Do you know that the 4 footings that go in the ground prior to the slab being laid is the most important piece to distribute weight of the home for new home construction? So that's why it may be important to look at a pre-slab inspection to ensure that, number 1, going up, your footings have gone down properly so you don't have any tilt, wang. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, we do pre-drywall. So before the drywall goes up, what's behind the drywall? Plumbing, electrical, etc. So before those things go up, insulation. Anybody ever getting a complaint about no insulation being included in new home construction? Yeah, I see some heads wagging. So there you go. So making sure that that's done, right? Pre-final walkthrough, which is where you would do the pre-final walkthrough, maybe separately from the superintendent, or they'll do their own new home build final walkthrough, but you can do it with us as well, just so we're apples to apples. And then pre-warranty, I also feel like is one of the most important ones. So what do builders typically offer the buyer? Hey, within the first, how long will they basically say, hey, if anything's wrong in the home, we'll fix it for free? Usually, how long is that? Anybody know?
2 weeks, 3 weeks?
First year.
Yeah.
First year. So they usually give them a year home warranty if you were a home services. Like, hey, God forbid anything go bad in your roof, HVAC, electrical, plumbing, or anywhere else. It could be little things, carpet, paint. They'll take care of it. So what we do is we call that client back at 9 to 10 months. We ask them if they'd like to go ahead and proceed with that pre-warranty inspection. We give them the checklist. They give that checklist to the new home builder, and they have to fix all of those items for your client. You're just their hero now. You're superwoman or Superman by them coming back in to take care of those things. Because you're looking, plus it's a great touch point. At some point you should be calling them back at 9 or 10 months, right? Some sort of follow-up there. So that's just a little gem, but great question, because they're definitely done, but not as often as I think they should be. Does that make sense?
Thank
And
you.
there's Tiffany Williams.
I saw
So-
Larry's comment and I was like, oh.
Yeah. So let me stop for a moment, and I will talk about kind of, but not really, pricing on new home construction. But without further ado, Tiffany, we see your beautiful face there. Yeah, Roy said your ears must have been ringing. We were just commenting on how different people within the area, the state, may jump on. So please say hello. And I love your pink women's realtor shirt, girl, repping. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
yes, it is so good to see you.
you
I
too.
am Tiffany Williams, the Pillar to Post the Mike Williams team. So we basically serve all of Northeast Florida, everywhere from Fernandina all the way down to Palm Coast. And Mike has been a Pillar to Post owner since 2003. So I would love, yes. So if we can ever be of service to you guys, I would love it. I'm going to put my information in the chat. So feel free if you're interested in a one-to-one. I would love to get to meet with you either in person or online. It's great. Thank you, Heather. It's so good
You're welcome,
seeing you.
Tiffany. You see what we mean by her sweet little voice. I said, you got me beat on the country twang, girl. You got me beat. Oh,
Yes, and
go.
y'all, yes, originally from Tennessee, y'all, I have lived here in Florida for 11 years, and
love
I
it.
think the Tennessee is just staying with me, but I am good with it.
That's right. That's right. I'm good with it too. I'm from Oklahoma, but so just as a sidebar, I think that her and Mr. Mackey have probably been two of the landmarks within the P2P structure in the state of Florida. They've been around for well over 20 years. So that tells you something about, you know, the type of company, the type of business, the tenure, and the commitment really on what we're able to roll back out and give to your clients. I'm going to backtrack a little bit to Gladys. Here's something else I would just want to put out there, because I think there's a misnomer in the industry, and these are little nuggets that you can take or not, you can share or not, because as you know, we stay in our lane. We're the inspector, we're not the realtor, and vice versa, right? So share them as you see fit. However, there is usually maybe somewhere between $200 and $400 charge per inspection. Now, keep in mind, I'm throwing out a really wide range of number there based on maybe a home that's 2,000 square foot or under, standard single family 3-2. All you want to do is a pre-slab. All you want to do is a pre-warranty, and they're different prices. It's generally based on the square footage, the location, and obviously what type of inspection you're ordering. It's also different based on location. Jacksonville may be different than South Florida. South Florida is going to be different than Orlando, but they're very reasonable. And to catch something on the front end that you have to pay thousands for later on the back end may be worth it, right? Am I making sense? Good stuff. Hopefully it helps. We've definitely,
And Heather,
yeah.
I hate to interrupt, but this actually happened within the last month, and I just think it's worth sharing, because I think a lot of times we equate something new with perfection, and there is no such thing as a perfect home.
That's
So
true.
we had a home buyer call to book an inspection. It was new construction. And when he was reading over stuff, he was like, yes, that I'm really interested in the infrared scan. And this happened in St. Augustine, Florida. He had a friend that had a brand new home. Okay. He had the house. After it was finished, it was inspected. The infrared camera was picking up moisture in one of the walls. To find out, there was a place for a window, and a place for a window, and they had put sheetrock over it.
Oh my goodness, no way.
So, and it's not, and when I say this, it's not out like a fear. It's just to go step by step and to be able to have a solid picture of what you are working with. And to me, I always prefer, let's be proactive instead of reactive, because proactive is a whole lot easier to take care of. But yeah,
agreed.
So that stood out to me.
That's really good. And for those of you, and by a raise of hands, I mean, you can manually raise your hand. You don't have to raise it on via Zoom hand. Who is familiar with infrared technology? Everybody pretty much knows what that is. So people tell me all the time, why is that necessary? I said, well, can your eyes see through the wall? No. So if your eyes cannot see through the wall, It captures many, many things like hot and cold areas, moisture buildup areas, potentially, and I'll say it here, M&M or microbial growth that may be there. It could be an area that's not ventilated properly and it's building up moisture, which eventually could be a not good thing. So infrared technology is something that we do. And it's very, very important to see behind the walls, especially on those opportunities for investors where they feel like they don't even need an inspection at all. More power to them. But they probably do. And they probably need the infrared more times than never. It doesn't necessarily, it's not, the price point isn't necessarily congruent on the need, if you know what I mean. So, and we do quite a bit with investors across the country, and most of them are extremely knowledgeable and understand the value behind being able to at least walk through that process, eventually needing to get that home insured and so forth. But yeah, I'm not looking at the chat, you guys. So anything in the chat and any more questions, shoot them to me. I'm ready. Now I've got Tiffany, me, and Andrea.
I think that Beth had a question and then Frida had a question. Beth had
Okay.
previously. Beth? You're on mute though.
She says, "I'll doggone it. I can see her." See now, how far into your drink are you now?
Already
No, I'm
drunk.
kidding,
She's
I'm
already
kidding.
drunk, so that's why she put her hand down.
She drank a water too.
Butter. So my question to you is, has there been ever a time where you've gone into a property and there has been like, the main things that we always look for, roof, hot water heater and air conditioning. And, it hasn't been immediate concerns. I always feel like a home inspector has to find something wrong or give us a big concern. Has there ever been a time where you have felt like, it's been maintained pretty well and could be something simple?
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, we're going to report facts and not diagnose nor advise. That should be the role of the inspector. I don't care who you are. So with that being said, depending on the condition of the home, we can only report on the facts that we find. And there has been plenty of reports that I've seen throughout the years that have been just, 5 or 6 items. There's others that are 20 to 30 items. Here's the another, I think, myth that's out there, like the whole, does it pass or fail? There's no such thing. The other myth is the more things that there are, the more that they're wrong. Well, maybe. My line is always, it depends. They ask me, well, what do you think? Well, it depends. It depends. Because if it's just GFCIs that need to be installed because it's near a sink and it's missing one, or it's a small wear and tear through the bearings underneath the sink and it's got a little drip there and you just need to tighten it. Or if it particularly is some, let's say, M&M that's visible and maybe some puddling that we see through the infrared and shingles off the roof. You see where I'm going with this? So there could be multiple items, but how you present and you getting on the phone with your inspector or someone like myself or Tiffany or Andrea and letting us more positively roll it out sometimes is helpful, because even though it may be many items, it's still not many concerning items as it relates to the bigger picture. Obviously, if it's roof, HVAC, electrical, and plumbing, that's one thing, but then you also have to consider what's the life expectancy on those. If there's still life expectancy left and it's in decent shape and it's still rocking and rolling, good, great. But there also is life expectancy and definition of what the homeowner's insurance thinks is good. Come on, somebody, I know y'all understand me here. And what Pillar to Post thinks is good. So that also sometimes can be misconstrued in communication. We report it, we don't diagnose it, we just give you the facts. And then oftentimes that 4 point will then roll over to the homeowners insurance person, or the wind mitigation will roll over, and then they've got additional questions. But here's what I always say at the end of the day. We're trying to get you to the finish line. It doesn't behoove us to hyper visualize the bad. I mean, a home is a home is a home. Some things might be wrong. But really, we should start out with, hey, these are the home highlights of the good things that we see within the home. There are a few things that are concerning. This is just our input. We suggest that you potentially find a licensed person like a roofing person, electrical or plumber, to be able to further investigate. But as an overall, this is what we're seeing. And I hope that makes sense, Beth. But I think it's on how educated you are as a realtor to be able to navigate that and calm them down, versus what's really in black and white. And reports are overwhelming. That's why I like our P2P 360. We have a 360 view we send with every inspection. If they don't want to see it in writing, good, don't. I'll send you the 360 video, and it'll click into each room and tell you all the deficiencies. You don't have to freak out. Well, not yet.
Thank you.
So, you're welcome. Hope it helped.
Rita?
Yes, I do have two questions. One, I've actually walked through a property where there's new construction and saw an initial crack, like in the foundation when they were building. And I went back
Yes.
and it wasn't addressed. As an inspector, if you see that, I mean, aren't at some point, like for new construction, they're supposed to address that? Because like I know that when I was doing the walkthrough, because I kind of figured that you're still new construction, you're just putting the walls up and the foundation. I mean, isn't that
Yeah.
noted? Aren't they supposed to address it as opposed
Well,
to ignore? No one addresses
hey,
that?
you guys, by the end of this thing, you're going to know my line. It depends. I'm telling you, and I'm not saying that, but it does, because, and this is why I love to offer education to WCR overall. If you ever see us post about a class, it's a 3-hour CE class called Newer and Older Homes and Pools. Come to it. Because we talk a lot about hairline cracks, shrinkage cracks, settlement cracks, and what the difference in all of those are. We're in the state of Florida that it's very hot. We deal with stucco, we deal with exterior paint, we deal with old paint, we deal with super paint, we deal with curing of concrete, we deal with settlement cracks whenever you do new home construction. I mean, there's so much I could go into with that, Frida, but at the end of the day, even the inspector should say if it's a concerning crack that they're seeing in the exterior, interior, wherever it's at. And most likely, if they see this one, and this is a nugget, you're all going to walk away from it. You're going to go, oh my gosh, I'll never forget that. What is my initial? Well, y'all know my name, right? Heather Hurry. What's the initials?
HH.
Okay. I want you to write
HH.
this down about cracks. And sounds horrible. I can't believe well, it sounds weird that we're saying that on happy hour. But anyway, horizontal, horrible. That's also my initial. Now, do not equate me to horrible, okay? I will not love y'all no more. No, I'm kidding. So generally, when you see a horizontal crack that's widening or anything is bulging, I'm telling you this stays here, because I'm still not diagnosing. I'm not. But it's generally due to some sort of foundational movement. That would call for further investigation from a structural engineer, which isn't us. So there's a difference between cracking, hairline, settlement. Usually those little cracks that are diagonal and they don't go the whole length of the wall and they're smaller in the beginning and wider at top, those are not concerning, Frida. But when you get to other ones that are glaringly huge, they take up a whole wall, or they're then we might investigate further. Helpful? And then come to one of my classes, because I teach more about that. And we had a heyday in it. We just taught it in South Lake. I think it was part of one of our,
Thank you for the question, Frida. Madam President Natalie, and also
Thank
wanted
you.
to address Catherine Sakish joined us, our first vice president. So I just want to give a shout out.
Hey,
Let her-
Catherine, I
You
see
have to
you
do
now.
I was just wondering what your thoughts are on having a seller do an inspection prior to putting their property on the market.
Love it, love it, love it. We call them market-ready inspections at Pillar to Post Jeff Mackey team. We used to call them pre-listing inspections. We just kind of moved around some wording for forever, for whatever purpose. You know, we're like in a market. Sometimes you have to shift around the deliverables. I highly suggest, if you're not paying for it as a realtor, which we have many realtors that do, per listing, they order a pre-listing inspection before they put it on the market. They review that pre-listing inspection with the seller. They point out any of the anomalies, anything that they may need to address, anything that may pop up later. They either fix it, repair it, address it, or they say, you know what, we're not going to do that, but we're going to disclose. Honesty is the best policy. And you would be shocked how many people respect that. It's also amazing. We provide a home highlights page to leave on the counter for open houses. And if you've purchased it as a realtor, you do not need permission. Well, you probably still should get permission from the seller to share that, but it's positive items that are being shared, so they should not debate, right? But nonetheless, it's wonderful. And then at that point, if you secure a serious buyer, you can always ask seller, hey, seller, do you mind if I share this inspection with them? Do you know that we're willing to come back out and walk through that report with buyer? And now they've just waived $500, $600, $700 for an inspection because you did it and they trust you. It's amazing.
I think also a lot of times sellers, they overinflate their homes, and
Yeah.
sometimes the inspection kind of brings them back down to earth.
Yeah, or we start going over the estimate repair list
Yeah.
based on the deficiencies, because we have a cost guide. And I'd be happy to send everyone that. Y'all all need that in your life. But it gives you a national average for cost of repairs, and you can literally start writing out the numbers. And you're right, Natalie, all of a sudden you get to the bottom of the total, and now they're trying to justify putting it on the market for $350, but they visibly see there's $25,000 minimum in repairs that probably would need to be done, maybe including that new roof. And all of a sudden, the price point you had mentioned prior at $325 starts chiming in their ear. Oh, that's why. And you know, if it's priced right, it'll move. If it's not, it won't. Y'all all know that. So
Heather, may I jump in?
Yes,
May I
ma'am.
jump in as well? Because that actually, we had a realtor, Travis, who recently contacted us to do a market ready inspection. And his whole reasoning of the homeowner had passed away, and he had 2 children who were in charge of the home. And he did not feel like they had a realistic expectation. Natalie, just like
Right.
what you were saying, he didn't feel like their expectation of what the home was worth was accurate. So he actually used that as a tool to help educate the sellers to have a more realistic expectation
Yeah.
as
And
far
it's
as on
such
the
a
pricing.
neutral
So
way
I
to
think
do.
it's brilliant.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it's such a neutral way to do it, because we're coming in as a third party. So anytime you can come in and use us, I don't want to say to be the bad guy, but you can use us to educate them, and versus it coming from you, or at least using us to back you or confirm it to solidify. There's so much value and credibility in that they're going to appreciate that type of honesty. I've found in my life, as I get older, less is better. And I really do not have time to mess with not the truth. That's my little sidebar. But I just find that we have a fiduciary duty within the real estate sector to be able to provide them with these deliverables. And if they don't have the facts, they really can't make a proper assessment either. But when you just say based on market or based on this and that, it's very hard to, you need a little bit more substance. And I see your hand, Trisha, go ahead.
Quick question, or two questions actually. How detailed is the pre-inspection? How detailed is that? And what's the difference in the cost of a pre-inspection and a regular inspection?
Great question. So the pre-listing inspection is what we call our plus tier. So it's one of our bottom tiers. We go plus, premium, prestige. So it's kind of like just a basic overview of the home, but it is very detailed. So you'll get all the moving pieces, roof, HVAC, electrical, plumbing that you're going to need to be able to identify. And then anything else that a normal inspection would cover, it will come in a pre-listing inspection. So that's number one. Number two, cost depends on the franchise, where the house is located, what the square footage of the house is, and how old the house is, to be honest. We've never been a one size fits all inspection company. There's no such thing. I mean, there's some out there, it just doesn't work for us. We would have to know where it's located, square footage, the age, that type of thing. And then we come up with a number. Generally in our office, anything 2,000 square feet or under for pre-listing is somewhere between 300 and 500. May sound a little high on one end, may sound a little low on the other. That's a very wide range, but that's about what we see. And if that's not in your budget, can I make another suggestion, please? Has anybody ever heard of a 4-point? It's like $150. Wouldn't you want to know what the 4 points have to say and make sure it's insurable anyway? You could also pass that along to the buyer and bless them. Where there's a will, there's a way. I mean, it's just how much in detail do you want to go, Trisha? So more detail, more robust, gives you the home highlights page. You can also use it at open houses to market the property. So that would be the pre-listing. And then secondarily would be potentially reeling it back to maybe just a basic 4-point. Frida?
Yeah, say if I want to buy a property for myself for an auction property, do you do like just a quick, because someone say you can get those where you're not doing a major like for purchase or sale, but for like an auction property, just so I can see if there are any major issues with the property. Is that
Probably
generally
what
the
I would,
same price?
it just depends on your purpose behind it and the age too, because sometimes the age makes a real big difference based on WDO or lead-based paint and some other requirements based on the house. But I would say in general, if you're just kind of wanting to know, lack of a better term, if the guts are good, just order a 4-point.
And what's
you
the
know,
4-point specifically?
4-point looks at the 4 points it takes to bind the biggest areas of expense typically. So the roof, the HVAC, both inside, outside unit and thermostat, the electrical, all electrical and plumbing. So by that, you know, there might be some other things in there that'll catch you off guard, but those are typically the big ticket items. Hopefully you guys agree with me on the,
Thank you.
if someone has something different to say, y'all better speak up now.
I think the number one thing I always tell my sellers is to check all their exit doors out of the property, because 95% of the time they get snagged for potential WDO when all it is that the pool water's been hitting the door into the pool bath. And they
So-
need to clean the trim.
Awesome that you said that, Natalie, because that segues into something that you all should know. Not every pillar to post location does a pool inspection, but we do. It's $50. So that tells you how much of a deep dive it is. Not really. It's just operational equipment, making sure there's no visible abnormalities. I can't spit that out. And I'm drinking water, and so forth. Okay, so do check with your local offices about that. Secondly, 2 or 3 things that I want, well, you guys know what HH is, right? Somebody shout it out. Horizontal. Horrible, right? So walk away with that one. Second one though, if you are on the listing side or even on the buyer side, make sure you go through the house and shut all the doors and make sure they are flush when they shut to the floor and the ceiling and they latch. Sometimes that's called out an inspection because it becomes a safety issue, especially with children. Also with windows, open them, close them, make sure they lock and they don't slam down. Especially if they're glass, it's a safety precaution. They could break. So if you've got older windows, you might want to make sure you open, shut, lock, that type of thing. Same thing with the doors, because those things might be called out on inspection, not because they're like innately unrepairable or there is this big, horrible thing, but they're a thing. And it's probably going to be something that's going to be addressed on the homeowner's insurance side too. And last thing, we don't do septic inspections. That carries a plumbing license. It's kind of a little out of our lane. We'll do well water. We don't do septic and well actual testing. So you'll find that in quite a few pillar posts across the board. We'll almost do everything except it costs more money to hold that license, and Jeff already has like 8 licenses. So he's like, not one more, dang it. Anything else on challenges that you've had or something that's come up and you're like, that doesn't make any sense to me?
I want to know what the weirdest thing you came across in an inspection is.
Oh, I got a story
Give
for
us
that.
something, yeah, give us something, yeah.
Well, I got 2. So obviously my inspectors are in the field, not me, but they bring me back videos and tell me stories all the time. And I think it's just crazy. So if any of you are familiar, how many of you are familiar with like downtown Orlando and how diverse the area is in a whole bunch of different ways? Okay. So we were in downtown Orlando. We went to, I think the home was like a 1960, I can't remember, type home. And my guy's going up, and number one, there's like police tape everywhere. That might have been an indication that we had something going on there. And then there was like this bunny suit guy on the left. I don't know what was happening there, but we were supposed to do an environmental report, which, by the way, we can identify a clandestine drug lab, AKA methamphetamines lab, AKA meth lab, within miles of those facilities if someone requests that report. I think that's why the guy was in the bunny suit. Anyway, so it gets better. We go in to do the inspection, and we have a probe that we use for the walls if we think that something's indicating possible, let's say, wood destroying organisms, AKA termites, AKA ants, all that good stuff, right? So he does the little tap, tap, tap with his hammer. The whole wall fell down. Police tape, bunny suits, walls falling down. Run, Forrest, run. So that was one. And then the second is my guy was training a new guy. This was just like last month, and they went up into the attic. He got all the way to the entryway in the attic door, and it was super dark in there. The lights weren't working because they never do. They're always like Uncle Joe or Uncle Bob rigged. We can never figure out how to turn on the doggone light. So he was trying to do it, but instead he had like 6 eyeballs pointing out at him. And the guy got so startled, it was 6 possums. It was a whole family of possums, and he fell down the stairs. Thank God he didn't get hurt. It was his like 2nd day on the job. Crazy. So, you know, if it's not drug houses, termites, and rodents, I mean, you're not having a fun day in inspections. Right, Andrea?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Stories every day from my husband are crazy.
Yeah. Any stories that you want to share, or Tiffany? I'd love to hear it.
Well, recently Jesus, he did 2 inspections in a day, and one of them in the morning, he saw like a bunch of dead rats in the attic, like
Oh, Lord.
many of them, many. And right after in the afternoon, he went to a different home, and he saw like a very large snake. So that day was not a fun day for him, but those are the usuals.
Oh my goodness.
Hi,
Yeah.
Jessica. Good to see you again. We just chat with Jessica in her office.
Ah, that's so awesome. Glad you were able to jump on. Tiffany, any horror stories, fun stories, weird stories?
Well, I guess the thing that sticks out to me the most is And this was here in Florida. Y'all, I'm sorry on the sunshine. I'm trying to block it. There we go. The glare there. I'm trying to block it with my head. But here, let me do it this way. There, that's
There you
better.
go. That's better.
So, yes. So here in Florida, y'all know it gets a little toasty and hot. Well, and this was several years ago, but the folks that were living in the house, they were like, the cooling is messed up. It's just, they couldn't get it to cool for anything. And so they ended up having an inspection, and I had forgotten to put insulation up in the attic.
Oh, no. Mm-mm.
So yeah.
So that was a bloody nightmare. No wonder their bill was so high, right?
Yes. And there again, I think that's just where being proactive and, getting the inspection, especially, on the new construction, but yeah. And then I actually had a realtor, she and her husband, they own a home in Tallahassee. And she was talking about, she's like, girl, I'm so glad we ended up getting an inspection before we bought the house, like before they had moved in,
Yeah.
because they had not hooked up the dishwasher. So if they had turned on the dishwasher, it would have flooded.
Flooded. Yeah.
Yes.
And we see
So-
that a lot too.
Yes. So
Yeah.
those are my two little interesting stories.
Oh, and I will give you 2 more tips since you mentioned that. Let me give you guys a couple more tips. So at the top of the water heater, there's piping lines that go in, and typically if those are a little rusty or off colored, it's no big deal because that's like where water filters on a regular basis. But if you've got a water heater that's in the garage, or wherever it's at, honestly, without a pan, it really should have a pan no matter what. But if the pan itself has any type of rusting or deterioration, or the very bottom of that tank, you can see pretty visible rusting, it's probably going to let loose pretty quick. Meaning, it could any time collapse, and all that water is going to come from the bottom to wherever it is. So whether it's in the garage or in the house or in the anyway, so we've seen that quite a bit, where literally they're like, man, we need to change out this water heater. It's rusted out, and I'm just shocked the thing hasn't let go yet with all that water pressure. So keep an eye out for your water heaters.
It's interesting, Heather, that you said that, because new construction a lot of times does not have a pan, and it's not
Yep.
required according to what they tell me.
Yep.
So, 'cause it's in the garage and it
Mhm.
has the pipe that goes down, because I've asked that question and they said it's not required. So,
Yeah.
but I've also
may
seen
not-
water high heaters in closets and bedrooms, which is
Yeah.
pretty scary. So, but yeah.
Yeah, it may not be required, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with making the recommendation. I mean, how hard could it be to, install a pan? And they even have the ones that you don't even have to lift the equipment up. It's like a U. It literally click
Around it.
got a
Okay.
pan underneath. But yeah, it's just one of those things. But again, it always gets, people always kind of get a little confused with us as far as home inspections and homeowners insurance. Oftentimes we get put in a different lane, and it's not because we're not reporting or don't have concerns or whatever the case may be. But then by the time it gets to homeowners insurance, what's a non-concern about the buyer on this side becomes a concern on that side. So it's just always good to, like you said, Natalie, be proactive with like a pre-listing inspection or a 4-point or doing something like that. Because the last thing you want to do is get halfway into the transaction or even 3/4 of the way down the road. Now, homeowners insurance guy's coming in, we don't know from where, and he's giving you this crazy information based on the report, and you're like, oh my God, I'm so caught off guard. Well, if you do it ahead of time, you won't be. So just something to think about. What may cost you a couple $100 and less headaches in the front end may save you thousands and many headaches, probably a whole bunch of calls too, on the back end. Nothing personal.
And the last thing you want is to have a deal under contract for 25 to 40 days. And
Yeah.
then, the insurance is what dumps the deal. you
The
know.
stopping point.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's I'm within a BNI group here. It's called BNI Alliance Business Partners. I've been a part of the group for almost 6 years, as long as I've been here with Pillar to Post, the Jeff Mackey team. There's a realtor there, and he's one of the most loyal to the Day is Blue guys. He actually played in Blue Man Group. So I'm also think he's super cool. But he works here in Orlando, and with every listing, and I'm not last year, I think he sold 62 listings just by himself, him and a TC. He orders a pre-listing inspection for every house from us, and he pays for it. He pays for it, and he does the quote on the front end with the homeowner's insurance and relays it to buyer. And he also does a couple other things with staging, and if there needs to be painting, and he just goes way above and beyond. He's in College Park and Winter Park, and he's just super proactive. It's like his farm ground. And he's built a name for himself with excellence, and it's just really admirable what he does with his clients.
What I normally do is I pay for the inspection up front and they reimburse me at closing.
Perfect.
Because that way the seller gets the comfort of knowing the inspection was done, but
Yep.
it alleviates the angst of
Yeah.
the cost up front without
That's a-
knowing what's gonna happen.
That's a great way to do it. I mean, and we've got plenty of partners within BNI and outside, just here in Central Florida too, that'll even do as big things like roofs at the end of closing. You can pay out at the end of closing. I mean, where there's a will, there's a way. That's another thing. Use your resources. A lot of the, strategic partners know other strategic partners. Like Lorianne, we know each other, whether it be title or mortgage or this and that. And so oftentimes if they're within the WCR family, we can refer, and you would be shocked all the awesome resources and things that they have to offer just because you're part of the network. Use it for sure.
I still want to know what Disney character you were.
Oh, okay. So can I tell you, y'all gonna love this. If this gets repeated out there, I'm telling you, I'm gonna do a snapshot and blame all of you on the call. Okay. So it goes by height. I'm only 5'4". So characters seriously go by height. Like Mickey and Minnie, you can't be that tall. The tallest you can be is 5'1". Mickey and Minnie are tiny little people. So I was Chip and Dale, White Rabbit, Gideon. I was the first Francis and Dodger character when they came out with that new movie, first ever on the float. I was the dancing mice in the electrical light parade. I was Ragdoll and Farm Girl Face in the parades during the day, wore the wig, had my face. And I did Snow White for 6 months, but they didn't like my birthmark. They pulled me.
My best friend was
Really?
Snow White, and I swear she looks just like her. I was like,
And I mean, I was skinnier and younger then, okay? So don't judge. But yeah, something about it was so great though. And I did it right. I was a senior doing an externship. I had only been here for a couple of years. I moved here when I was 14. I've been here ever since. And it was such a great transition. And then I ended up in the entertainment office doing more corporate stuff. And then, into corporate America we come, and then trades and real estate and etc. Home inspections.
Heather, what's the truth? How hot are those costumes?
Hot. Oh my God, miserable. When we would do the 1.4 mile parade during the day, if you were in costume, you really had to be in shape. But if not, like even as a face character, we had the farm that would move with us, the float. We would go inside, douse ourselves with water, drink Gatorade, and come back out the other side and continue to dance. Hot. There were so many people that fainted or got dehydrated or didn't know how to take care of themselves or ate horrible or partied too much. They're young. They don't know. And I was like, please do not come in my farmhouse smelling like that. Just saying. It was interesting.
That was a whole thing. I'm like Central Florida.
You think about it though, high school and college, it is what it is.
It was before they had Axe spray too.
Yeah, like surely you guys can cover that. But yeah, so fun fact, now you know. So a couple of again, I just want to leave you with these tips as you're going, and keep in mind utilize them with wisdom and knowledge, but HH, not only is it my name, but don't relate it to being horrible, but horizontal horrible. It's always good to remember that. Remember that if you have an upcoming listing, you can always do something like a pre-listing or market-ready inspection or minimize it to a 4-point. Just cover your hiney, get to know the facts, and be able to share it with your client, and most likely put it on the market at a decent price or higher price and be able to capture that. And now you're the superhero in the transaction. And then also doors, windows, test them yourself. Lastly, I'm going to leave you with this nugget too. So oftentimes we will get that the receptacle does not work. Why do you think we say that? The light bulb's dead, people. Go around the house, screw in all the light bulbs and make sure they work. If they do not work and you're on the listing side, replace them. Make sure they work, because we go turn on all the lights, open all the doors, all the windows. So you might as well just make sure the lights are on. Be the light. There's my message. Be the light.
Thank you, Heather.
That actually happened on my own personal home inspection.
It happened.
I'm over in St. Pete. My house is in Indialantic. And I go to the house the day before the inspection, and I'm walking through, and my closet light was out. But my ceilings are 14 feet high, and I had no light.
Yeah, you're like me. I'm only 5'4". How am I going to do that?
So I'm frantically emailing the inspection company going, the light in the master closet isn't going to work. This is why.
Oh my gosh.
Like, well,
Yeah. Or, vocalize it to the inspector. Hey, there's a couple of lights in the house I just can't reach. I mean, instead of calling them out, can you just like sidebar with me? Like, you can talk to the inspectors. Just don't follow them around the entire time. And, until they just want to, you just let them do the job. About halfway through, we always update you. And at the very end, we update you too. Like, trust me, we know you're there. We will get back to you. But it's so much easier if on the front end you educate, hey guys, let's just stay out of the way. About halfway in, we're going to get some updates. So if you want to come like an hour into the inspection, it's fine. And then if not, we're going to get the recap at the end, and we're going to have a report probably same day or within 24 hours. So don't stress out. We got this. And, we're going to make sure everybody's happy, but always remain positive. Always present the positives first. Always create a home highlights. Say deficiencies, not what's wrong. There is no pass or fail, people. And, be the expert. And if you don't know the answer, call us. We'll help you anytime.
Well, thank you, Heather. Lorianne was having issues with her internet, so
I wondered where
obviously
she went.
she's
Okay.
fallen off. So she had asked me to just kind of close things up since she's not here, so I'm in place of Lorianne. So we appreciate all your input, Heather. We appreciate Andrea and Tiffany being on.
Yes.
Hopefully everybody got some information from this, and of course we can always reach out. Heather's around all the time, we know.
All the time.
At our conferences, and we can't thank you enough for being a partner for us, for the state. And you all are a partner nationally too.
Yeah.
You all do so much for us. We hope we can give back by having events like this. So we do appreciate it. So
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
and thank you all for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Tiffany and Andrea. See you soon.
Have a wonderful day.
you.
Maybe in Canada.